sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
all in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the spot!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Leur 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Bittt. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro on this Monday, April 3rd. It is a couple of minutes past 10 p.m. Eastern. How's everyone doing tonight? And usually on Monday nights, our regular contributor and collaborator is Eric Engels of Sportsnet and Sportsnet.ca. Unfortunately, Eric will not be joining us tonight. But the good news is, because Eric is just not available tonight. So he sent me a text message earlier today and said, tonight? I said, yes. And then he called me and he said, you know what? Something's come up. I actually won't be available tonight, but I will be available on Wednesday night. I said, Eric, hold on a second. We got Marc-André Perreault on Wednesday night, so let me see what I can do. And I sent Marc-André Perreault a text message. I said, hey, let me ask you something. By any chance, would you be available tonight instead of Wednesday night? And he said, yes, absolutely. Let's do it. I said, all right. So I sent Eric another text, and I said, Eric, no problem. Marc-André tonight, you on Wednesday night. We'll get to Marc-André Perreault in just a minute, not before I take a minute or two to talk to you about proud sponsors of the Sick Podcast. One of them is La Bittt at Tibi. Embrace your true nature. Brewed in Quebec, a winner of a dozen international awards. La Bittt at Tibi offers quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste, and also brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America. They are driven to be different. And now, without further ado, that man they call Mapper Marc-André Perreault from TVA Sport. Comment ça va?
Ça va bien, mon chum. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Besides the fact, as you can see, my wrist is wrapped up, which I did this myself. And
What happened?
You know what? It's been about a month that I feel like something. And
do I want to know?
No, yeah, I think you want to know. And I brought it, I went to the osteo, and she's excellent. She did some massages on that area. And what we believe it is so I work with my laptop, which is in front of me, which you don't see right now. Okay. And when I go to actually touch the mouse, I think it's the position of where I'm seated and the desk and touching. Nowadays they make some of these mouse pads with a little bit of gel and stuff like that. It's got a little bit of a hump so that your hand is more up like this than it would be like that.
Kind of a cushion.
Correct. And that's what she recommended that I go out and purchase, which I'm going to get to tomorrow. Okay. In the meantime, I find that it gives me a little bit of relief when I have it bandaged up like this. So anyway,
got it.
It's all
I'm
good.
Happy
Man.
that you feel better. Well,
it's all good. Yes, I'm feeling very, very good. I have a little bit more energy because we're eating cleaner in the past week, and we're eating healthier. Okay.
How many pounds did you lose?
So I got on the scale exactly 1 week ago. Today, and when I got on the scale, I was 271.2 pounds.
That's a lot.
That's more than a lot. That's obese. That's
bad.
That's scary territory. And I only have myself to blame. No excuses.
Well,
just
by
myself.
no means I was insulting.
No. Listen, I don't get insulted very easily. I find some people do nowadays. I think people need to learn how to laugh every now and then, right?
That's a good point too.
Yeah.
But let's say it's not healthy.
No. So definitely not. And so anyway, when I got on the scale today, 1 week later, we're able to drop like 15.8 pounds. Yeah. So
Congrats.
almost 16 pounds.
That's very
But
good.
I mean, I'm happy about it. I'm proud, but not going to get overly excited because a lot of people say the first 10, 11 pounds is like it's very easy to lose. There's a lot of water there. I've noticed like in the last couple of days that I wasn't losing at the rhythm at the rate that I was losing before, but I'm gonna work at it. And
Okay.
at the end of the day, I still think about pizza and poutines and hamburgers and milkshakes
Well,
all the time. I'm not gonna lie to you. These are things that I like fried chicken too, by the way. So these are things that I think about all the time.
don't go to Nashville, okay?
No?
Oh, it's a paradise of fried chicken.
Is that right? Eh? All right. Okay.
Oh, it is. Yeah. So just
Well, I would
stay away.
imagine that you're going to be there on June 28th and June 29th for the NHL draft.
I will not.
You will not
I
be
will
there.
not.
Really?
No,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing so many trips during the regular season that
Yeah,
when the playoffs end, I'm done. I mean,
you're on vacation.
it can always happen. Let's say someone is sick or whatever.
I hear you.
mean,
I hear you.
But
Yeah.
normally, I'm off with the kids.
So
by
you'll
that time.
you'll officially be on vacation. Okay, good for you.
Yeah.
Have you planned
Thank
the
you.
vacation yet for this summer?
For me, it's cottage golf.
Good.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. You know what? I was thinking of taking up golf because I got more free time now than I ever have before, but we'll see. I don't want to play if I'm not going to be very good, but I guess everyone has to start somewhere, right? Okay.
If you want to start golf and be good, forget it.
All
It's
right.
not gonna happen.
Okay. All right.
Maybe a run or.
Okay, let's talk Habs.
Yeah,
It was, and hello to all of our friends and the Sick Army and the SIP community that's watching right now via YouTube Live, via Facebook Live, and via Twitter Live. It was a performance where I think Marty St. Louis said at the end of the game, it's one of those teams that is ready for the playoffs, and another one that is kind of like ready for golf. He didn't say it in those words, but that's what he meant, type of thing.
Yeah,
but that was complete domination on Saturday night. And when Marty St. Louis was asked at the end of the game if he could draw any positives, he said Montembeault. And then he looked and he had a little bit of a smirk and he said, look, it's la vérité. This is the truth.
Well, he's the only one who was playing decently.
Yeah.
But I mean, have you noticed last 3 games? It seems like this team is like the tank is empty. It's been the same in Philadelphia. It was one of the most boring game I've seen in a while. Against Florida was pretty much the same. Against Carolina, pretty much the same. It seems like this team is not thinking about the vacation, but I think they're just done. Like no more gas, no more, and you can see that they are trying. Nothing works, and Marty St. Louis said it. It's mental fatigue and physical fatigue, everything. So, and he said after last game that his evaluations are kind of overdone. So let's just wait till the season ends and let's start think about the lottery and next year. So
yeah. So, it was probably give or take about 3 months ago where he said that Jake Allen was his number 1 goalie, right?
He said it often.
Yeah, he said it a couple of times. And Jake, at one, Samuel Montembeault was playing better hockey. And look, Samuel Montembeault has been playing really, really good as of late, right? And I think he's proven that he had the better year than Jake Allen. Whether or not people want to give him the number 1 tag, maybe they say it's a small sample size. Let's see you do it next year because veterans have the benefit of the doubt, right? So Jake Allen has the benefit of the doubt. But am I wrong to think, and only Marty St. Louis knows this, by the way, so I'm trying to read his mind, which we shouldn't do. But am I wrong to think that by him answering Montembeault the way he did on Saturday night, I almost feel like in his mind, Montembeault is that guy now? Do you get that feeling, or I'm getting the wrong feeling?
I get the feel that Montembeault is now higher than Jake Allen. I'm not sure he is convinced that Montembeault could be a number one on a winning team. I think it might come. I'm not sure it's the case right now, but for me, there's no question that Montembeault is higher in dans la hiérarchie compared to Jake Allen. I mean, you take a look at his number. I mean, he's just one win away from having a 500 record. Montembeault. I mean, can you imagine with this type of team, so many injuries, a guy who never had the confidence of the team in Florida, in Montreal, and he's just one win away from 500 mark. It's quite something. So
yeah.
Anyways, and what is he? 906? It's not. I mean, it's not good. It's okay, but
yeah.
So
what do you think? What do you think of Montembeault at the end of the game? There's a lot of mixed opinions on this. Montembeault at the end of the game, basically saying that he was basically left alone, in not so many words, right?
No, that's not what I heard. I heard a guy talking. He was saying we. So no, he's such a great teammate. He's so quiet, and there's by no means he would do that. So, I mean,
even if it was interpreted that way, you know what? The fact of the matter is, between you and I mean, he was left alone. I mean, the guy's
but you can't say that. I mean, you can say that if you're Patrick Roy or Martin Brodeur. But Samuel Montembeault knows he could not say that. I mean,
he hasn't arrived yet, right? A lot of other people would be looking at him saying, "Who the hell do you think you are?" But it does show character, though, if he was saying it.
Yeah, but those comments were they in English? Because in French, from what I've heard, he was talking like we, and we couldn't make any plays. If it was in English, I mean, and I want to, sometimes there's, you can tell if you're listening to me. Sometimes there's that translation that is not perfect. So maybe it was that, but I'm convinced that Samuel Montembeault would never throw his teammates under the bus and say, "Hey, I was good, not them." Never.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Hey, look who was on the ice today, Cole Caulfield.
Yeah, we almost forgot that he got his surgery. It was February 1st. It was a surprise because actually it was Marty St. Louis press conference, and then leaving Brossard. Hey, that's cool. So we don't know exactly how long he spent on the ice, but I mean, if they allow him to be on the ice, it means that they are ready. That there's always a possibility he falls on his shoulder. So to me, it tells me that the surgery was a success. Things are going well. His rehab is going well enough so he can skate. He was, obviously not taking shots, not taking slap shots, but there was a puck at some point, and he was playing with the puck. So it's good news. It's one good news because so many bad news again today. I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy.
Before we get to the bad news, though, news, why don't we go with this, though? I mean, today, it may have been like a little thing, right? Caufield being on the ice and just touching the puck and stuff like that. But, for the fan base, it's something to obviously be very, very happy about, right? Oh, Cole Caufield's back on the ice. I mean, they love him here. And, it's not like he's going to play before now and the end of the season. But the fact that he's back on the ice, I mean, it gives people hope, going into the off season. And that's why, based on what I've been told, they want to announce a contract with Cole Caulfield as well before the end of the season. So, before they say goodbye until they end up saying hello again when they get to the draft, before they say goodbye, it's like, before we say goodbye, there's a contract we want to announce here,
Yeah, you said that last week. Clock is ticking. 2 weeks away from.
I know. I'm starting to look at the clock and say, come on, announce something already,
A little less than 2 weeks before.
Or else people are going to get mad at me if something doesn't get announced,
I'm sure that a lot of people will be very happy to tell you that you were wrong if it doesn't happen. But, it makes a lot of sense. I know it's priority for Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon.
Well, again, if it doesn't happen, I mean, it's not my fault. I mean, I'm repeating information that comes from
You did not jinx anyone.
A very reliable. Put it this way: it's not the janitor at the Bell Center or his cousin that told me that the plan is to have the contract announced before the end of the season. It's
your brother-in-law, blah blah blah. No, I know it's not that.
It's
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I just can't wait to see how long is it gonna be. For me, that's the main question, because it's gonna be a crap load of money, that's for sure. But for how long?
I think there's three terms, and I don't know for a fact, and I've said this before, and I've said it to pretty much everyone that we've talked to about it. I think there's three terms on the table. I think 8 years, 7 years, 3 years.
Yeah, makes sense. But to me,
8 years is 7. So his contract finishes the same time as Suzuki.
Yeah, could be, but
they're best friends on the team. Hey guys,
they're linked on the ice and they're good friends, but it's not. I don't think it's going to be a factor. I would more say 8 or 3, but might be 7, and you can laugh at me after.
No, we're not gonna laugh at you. So speaking of the bad news now, where do you want to start? Monahan, I would imagine.
Monahan is it's a nightmare for everyone, because he always they already had one first round draft pick for him, which is great. They could have easily have another one. I think they took a bad decision when he arrived in Calgary. I think it was December the 5th, with his walking boot on. Like, he came to the rink with his walking boot on.
Yeah.
3 months prior to the trade deadline. So there was no rush. He was having good numbers. There was the only thing I think is he wanted to play in Calgary. And we've been told that so often. You have to protect the player from themselves first. And I think that's exactly what happened. He shouldn't have played. It's easy for me to say now. I don't have his medical information, but 1+1, okay? Yeah. So he played with his bad ankle. He played the game after in Edmonton. He started the game in Vancouver, then couldn't do it anymore. Then probably comme son naine a compensé.
His groin?
A compensé because he was injured.
Yeah.
Compensated because he was injured. So there you go. Busted len.
Groin tear.
So anyways, so now he needs surgery. Yeah. And for him, it's a lot of millions for him, that decision to play in Calgary and then to get injured. And that's going to cost him. It cost the team a good draft pick. That's okay. But for him, it's going to cost a lot of millions.
Yeah.
So
for those who missed it, he had surgery to his groin. And, the press release said, Sean est arrivé avec un bon bagage d'expérience. Il était une bonne acquisition. Il peut faire tellement de choses. Il peut jouer partout et il est très fiable sur la patinoire. Il amenait une flexibilité difficile à trouver. J'espère qu'il a encore du hockey devant lui. So Marty St. Louis says, Sean arrived with a lot of experience. He was a very good acquisition. He could do a lot of things on the ice. He can play anywhere. He's very reliable on the ice. And he gave a lot of flexibility to our lineup, which is not easy to find. And I hope he has a lot of hockey in front of him. So
that last sentence, to me, it speaks a lot, because don't forget, he has both ankles broken. He had his surgeries. His les hanches.
His hip surgery.
Hip surgery, ankle, now groin. So that poor guy. I don't know what's next for him. I don't know where it's gonna be, but let's hope for him he can still play hockey.
Yeah. So You're right. Out of everything that I read there, you focus on that last line and you say, Marty St. Louis saying, let's hope he can still play hockey.
We said that about Paul Byron a year ago.
Yeah, and he wasn't able to come back. You're right about that.
No.
If Monahan, and the difference being is that Byron still has years left on his contract, Monahan does not. His contract is up, which would lead you to believe that the Canadiens would just say, hey, have a great summer and all the best to you in the future. Having said that, if he can have a clean bill of health, and I know that's a big if, right? Because once again, we're talking about a player who in the last couple of years, hip surgery on one hip surgery on the other hip, and then the ankle, the foot, and now the groin, and the surgery, and the this and the that. If he can have a clean bill of health, I could see the Montreal Canadiens saying, Sean, you had 17 points in 25 games. We thought it was going well. We saw a lot of good things from you. We can always use another veteran in the lineup. And why don't you come back for another year? It's obviously not going to be a lot of money because there's a health concern there, but let's bet
bonuses,
on each
man. I don't know.
Let's bet on each other. We'll bet on you. You bet on us. And if you're able to play the type of hockey that you played a year ago, well, then at one point we'll revisit and we'll take a look at your contract, or, we'll trade you at that point. And, or when the trade deadline comes up, and hopefully he ends up getting another contract with another team going forward. But I would do that. I wouldn't be shocked. He's a good veteran. You can tell even from what St. Louis said. He admires the player. He likes him.
Yep. He admires him. He's a good teammate, a good leader. Problem is his health. But I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't say I'm sure, but I wouldn't be surprised Montreal makes him an offer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Poor guy. It's you have to think about the person at one point. It's again, it's sad for Montreal. They could have had a good draft pick, but it's for the player.
Yeah.
I mean, he's how old is he? He's like 29, 30?
Yeah, I think he's 29. It could be wrong.
That's what I think.
By the way, I'm getting a lot of messages about Paul Byron that his contract too is up at the end of the year. Well, what I meant was going into
last year.
Correct. Going into this season, I mean, he still had another year left on his
contract. 28. He's 28,
eh? Yeah.
I mean, it's young.
Yeah, it is young.
It should be his biggest contract of his life.
Yeah.
And he's just broken.
Seems like he's been in the National Hockey League forever, and he seems actually more than 28, eh?
Well, his face and his demeanor, so that helps. But it's been 11 years now. First round, I remember him with the 67s. He was so good, so complete. And he went sixth, and I could hear people saying, "Yeah, his work ethic." No. I don't know where they took that information. He never had bad work ethic, so that was a great choice for Calgary.
Yeah. You know what? You talked to once again. You're right. I don't know how that got out there because you talked to a lot of players that play with him and stuff like that. And a lot of players, this is the consummate pro. Like this is the consummate.
It was the same in junior. So.
And there's an injury for Belzil, right? Belzil, God love him. I mean, he's still there. His season is officially over. Fractured leg. Saturday.
It's a good fracture, a beautiful fracture. They said.
Blocking shots there versus the Carolina Hurricanes. God love him with the season over and a lot of players checking out. This guy's got a lot of heart, man.
I mean, what a story! Scored his first NHL goal. 31 years old, 31 game, 14 points. Such a good leader, and this guy wasn't shy of trash talking with Corey Perro, with Pat Maroon. He wasn't scared of. Wasn't shy of speaking out loud in the dressing room, even if he's an American leaguer. He was not shy about it, and the guys, they love him. He blocked a shot and he finished the game, and that tells you a lot about him. And today he came in the locker room while we were doing the interviews, and no boot, no walking boot, no ice, no nothing. Was not limping. He was just getting a gum and going in the cold bath. So he's quite something, and that's when we've been told that it was a beautiful fracture. So,
Yeah. You know, that
anyways.
game in Buffalo, when Pezzetta scores the game winner in the shootout,
Yep.
and you see the guy celebrating in the locker room, right? And I know you loved it. Belzil is laughing. It's unbelievable. And the other day, I don't know how I ended up watching this, but I did, because every now and then I just go watch like old videos over and over and over again. And I watched the one when they eliminated the Vegas Golden Knights on the overtime winner by Arturi Lehkonen. And you see the footage of the guys coming back in the room, right? And even there, Belzil, he's a different cat than everyone else. He's got these like facial expressions and these laughs and these. You can tell he brings a lot of energy to the locker room.
He does.
You know?
He does, and he's another one that his contract negotiations will be very interesting. Like, what are you doing with him? Do you keep him in the National Hockey League? Do you want him to go down and take care of the future players? But how much money do you give him? Do you take the chance to lose him to another team? Because I'm pretty sure he proved he's an NHLer, like for the next few years. I'm pretty sure. So interesting.
I find he convinced at a later age, kind of like Matthew Darche convinced at a later age.
Best example. Yeah.
Hey?
Exactly.
I think so. So Jean-Charles Lajoie, our buddy from BPM Sport and TVA Sport, last week was saying that I can tell you for sure that if the Canadiens don't offer Belzil a contract, that there are other teams that will, and I know of one in particular. Has he shown you enough? I know you said he's an NHLer, but has he shown you enough to get like a 2-year deal in the National Hockey League on a one-way in the offseason?
I'd say yes. I would say yes.
Here in Montreal?
Yeah. I think it's the type of guy you want to, you want to have while you are rebuilding. And he has shown that he's more efficient than other bottom 6 players in his role. And so for me, that's the key. He brings a lot more not on the ice than on the ice.
Yeah.
But, and Jean-Charles, I really love Michael Pezzetta. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Fun to speak with, very honest. And Jean-Charles said, if you have the choice between those 2 4-liners, who do you take?
And I know he said Belzil. You want to know what I said? I said, I don't have a problem with either of them, but I just get the feeling that there could be room for both being the odd man out every now and then. You know what I mean? Pezzetta plays a couple, Belzil's out for a couple, Belzil plays a couple, he's out for a couple. Because the value that Pezzetta has, and look, I think Belzil does certain things that Pezzetta can do. And I think Pezzetta does certain things that Belzil can do. The only where I see value for Pezzetta, I don't like choosing between one or the other, because I think they both have a huge heart. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see them both in the big league.
We agree on that.
Where I see the value for Pezzetta is, I don't want Arbor Jack-Eye being the only one to defend his teammates every game. Michael Pezzetta is not Jack the Giant Killer. Really, I get that too. But he's always an extra guy there who can give some support. Now, fighting is down in the National Hockey League. I don't think it's overly necessary anymore, but he can bring that element.
I totally agree, and I love both. But to me, Peds missed a great opportunity against Florida to show that he can do this job, and he is willing to do it no matter what, and I'm talking about Gudis, obviously. So I thought he could have made a huge statement that game, and he did not. So will it be a factor? I hope not for him, and I hope not for us, because he's very good with the media, and he's a very nice guy. But when Jean-Charles asked that question, I said, you know what? It's actually a good question. Did he miss an opportunity to make a statement about next year?
Mm-hmm. A shout out to Playground. They have over 600 machines, poker tournaments, and Playground casino games, daily promotions, and unmatched customer service. Why go anywhere else? Located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes from downtown Montreal. All right. Speaking of injuries, Slafkovsky, his season is officially over. I mean, that's something we already knew, is it not?
Season over. Well, I mean, the only option was playoff hockey, but we kind of knew.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Slav, it's, he's done. That's okay. But what happens to Jake Allen? What happens to, Jordan Harris? Because there's 2 emergency recalls today.
Yeah.
So Primo will start tomorrow. Emergency recall.
And Corey Schooneman was the other one?
Corey Schooneman. So that tells me that, we're going to have other bad news tomorrow. We'll see. But
so now it begs the question, what in the world has gone on this year with everyone in terms of the medical department, whether it's strength and conditioning, whether it's physiotherapy, whether it's sports therapist, whether it's doctors. I mean, look, everyone has an opinion on this. On paper, it doesn't look good. Like, there's just way too many injuries to way too many players compared to all other teams in the National Hockey League. On paper, it looks bad. Everyone has an opinion. Some will say the Canadiens probably have a medical staff that's maybe needs to be modernized. Marty St. Louis says, hey, it's something to look into at the end of the year. I mean, we'll do our due diligence and we'll do our little, our little inquiry. Joel Edmondson says, it's just one of those years where, you know what, just bad luck hit us.
Gallagher said pretty much the same thing.
And Nick Suzuki says, he's an Iron Man for the Canadiens. He says it's up to the players to keep healthy and be ready.
He's not wrong. I mean, he is not wrong. I don't think there's one player who took it, lightly to be prepared for this year. There's a lot of bad luck, but I mean, there's no choice but to take a serious look at the way this team is prepared. I mean, it's obvious. We'll see. I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you more than this department will be looked at very closely. And, when the coach is saying it out loud, it means that they know it's, it has to be looked at.
All right. Yeah. And you don't want to see anyone lose their job, but I can't see them come back next year and say that nothing's changed. And, in whether it's in the sports side, they're maybe not going to remove someone but they'll add something. They won't come back and say, yeah, we looked into it and our conclusion was, we were hit with bad luck.
Yeah, but
they're going to announce that they've done something.
There's going to be changes. We don't know where, but there's going to be changes. We were talking about Belzil and Pezzetta, and I hope that they are back, but you have to take the whole group, and if there's no change, things won't change, right?
Yeah.
So so we can look at the fourth line and say, oh, it's a very good fourth line, and it's a pretty decent third line. But I mean, if you think this way, there's not going to be changes, and you're gonna stay with the same staff, and it's going to be the same thing next year. So they're gonna evaluate that, and probably we're gonna have some surprise. Coaching staff, we never know, maybe, but things need to improve. To change it, if you want to improve next year. So
yeah. What seeing now that the announcement was made that Slafkovsky's season was over, it obviously has people going back now and talking about whether or not the Canadiens made the right decision. We did this so much at the beginning of the season, but now it's just another thing to talk about here. In the end, he finishes, with 10 points and like 34. What was it? I don't have his
Hold on a
hockey DB
second.
open in front of me, but
Slavkovsky,
I
10
think
points in 39 games.
it was 10 and 39.
Minus
Okay.
13. Minus
So-
13, yeah.
Yeah, so 10 and 39 would probably give you 20 and 78 would probably give you an average of like 21 points in a season, pretty much, give or take.
Give or take.
Now, we know that there's a lot of 18-year-olds that put up more points than that. And we also know that there's a lot of 18-year-olds that put up less points than that. I mean, I think Joe Thornton had 3 goals and 4 assists, 7 points in 55 games. And Joe Thornton went on to have a pretty great long NHL career. Unfortunately, the Stanley Cup.
Is he done?
Unfortunately,
it seems like he played forever.
But so now it has everyone talking again, and
just 1 second. I remember it was in 2019 that that series between St. Louis and San Jose. I think it was the semifinal. It went to 6 games, and I remember when the Sharks were eliminated, I went in the dressing room, and Joe Thornton was, he was like that, and his body, he looked like a grandfather.
Oh, really?
He looked so tired, so old, and I mean, no offense to him. I mean, he's a stud, but you can tell that his body was like, man, I can't take it anymore. So anyway, I still have this vision.
Yeah.
Poor guy. He felt he really thought that he had a chance, but didn't work.
So I have 2 Joe Thornton stories. All right. One of them is not a great story, but it's just something that happened. I think it was last year or the year before. My son went to watch the Canadiens and the Panthers.
Okay.
And Joe Thornton was in that game. I don't remember if he played or not. But he probably didn't. I'm not sure. He probably didn't. But I was parked on. What was I parked on? Was it De La Montagne or whatever? And I was parked there waiting for him to pick him up. And like the second, so obviously he didn't know, because now I'm thinking about it. The second the game was over and I was listening to it on the radio, at one point I got out of my truck and I went outside. I needed a little bit of air. And Joe Thornton he walked right by me, and he was walking. I don't know if they were probably staying the next day in Montreal, so it looked like he was walking to the hotel. But anyway, he must have left before the game was over, because the second it was over, boom, he walked right by me. So there's one. That's not a big story. But my big story for Joe Thornton, and I don't remember the year. Like, I could guess 2002 or 2004, but I'm guessing, okay?
Okay.
But there was a year, and I think it was the year the Canadiens played the Bruins in the playoffs. Was it the Kovalev year with Zednik and Koivu on the first line? I don't remember. So I don't remember which year, but on the day of Game 7, and I was in Boston to cover it, okay? I was doing some reporting. On the day of Game 7, all the media was around Joe Thornton after the morning skate, because I believe in the Boston Globe, Kevin Paul DuPont had a big article that Joe Thornton did not have the entire respect of the locker room. And there's many who thought that he wasn't a good leader. Or, look, it's a long time ago. It's over 20. It's about 20 years ago, right? So but the story's something like that.
On a Game 7?
On the morning of Game 7. And I'm telling you, when I saw him and all the players, and then a bunch of players had to go on the record and they had to come to his defense and this and that and whatever and all that stuff, I said, This team is rattled. And that day in that locker room, I knew the Canadiens were going to win Game 7. Now, it could have the opposite effect, right? Because everyone rallies for the captain, and then they have a huge win, and then they say to the media after the game, hey, you know what? Just to show you that Joe's got the respect of everyone in the locker room, we all rallied around him and this and that, and he picked us up, and he was our leader. But I just got the feeling that they were going to be very nervous going into that Game 7. They weren't going to respond well. They ended up losing. And you know what? Saku Koivu did really well versus Joe Thornton. Like, really well. And so I remember at the end of the game, as you know, they make a stand in the hallway, right? Members of the media back then, it was 20 years. I don't know how it is now, but we're standing in the hallway in Boston. I don't know how it is now in Boston. We were standing in the hallway to get into the Canadiens' locker room.
Yep.
And before they officially opened the doors, I took a peek a peek inside the locker room so that I can see how the guys were the second that game was over and they won it, right? Saku Koivu in that locker room, he let out such a loud scream. And Koivu, a lot of people wondered, his leadership ability and whether or not he was the ideal captain for the Canadiens at the time. But the scream that he let out in that room, it kind of caught me off guard a little bit. Like I knew the guys would be celebrating. Mm-hmm. It was so loud. It kind of like rattled me, like, oh, what in the world's going on here? But I remember that. So I'd have to look it up tonight. I'm the curiosity is killing me now. Mm-hmm. It's an article that Kevin Paul DuPont wrote on Joe Thornton. And I don't remember which year it was, in the early 2000s, but man, it didn't go over well in that locker room. It really didn't.
Well, sometimes, was it necessary to write that article on the night before the Game 7? It's tough. After they're gonna say in Montreal that media are so bad and so nasty.
Yeah,
you won't see that here.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm sure that. Look at this. You ready?
Yeah.
It's time for Thornton to get hooked as captain, by Kevin Paul DuPont, the Boston Globe, April 19, 2004.
Okay.
For the good of his team, Joe Thornton should surrender his seat this morning as the Bruins captain. Truth is, the club's 24-year-old franchise player took one giant and curious step forward, abdicating the prestigious position at 1:32 p.m. yesterday when he sinked out the back door of the club's dressing room to avoid addressing the media. While some 30 reporters, cameramen, and videographers awaited his thoughts and words, Thornton exited stage left with less than 36 hours to go before his Bruins face the Canadiens tonight at Fleet Center in Game 7 of their first-round playoff series. For the record, Thornton was well aware of the media's presence. No fewer than 2 club employees underscoring the obvious to him. It's important for the media and, by extension, untold thousands of fans and maybe even the odd corporate sponsor or two to hear what he had to say. Thornton's response, a quick pivot out the back door. One out-of-town TV reporter crossed his path in the hallway, requested a comment, and later said that Thornton's only response was, "I'll talk tomorrow." Good guy, Thornton, but who cares? Not the point here. The world's full of good guys, and none of them should be captain of the Bruins either. The fact that he is usually affable, is that, pardon me, it's affable and gregarious, as well as talented and still very young, Does not matter one whit when the team that has entrusted him with the sea relies on him to view the world through that sea and not his own eye. Thornton had to say something. Not much, but something. By passing on his shot, his silence spoke volumes about his suitability for the job. A veteran Montreal print reporter, his mouth agape at Thornton's vanishing act, turned to a Boston acquaintance in the locker room and said, in Montreal, if Saku Koivu ever did that, we would kiss his ass down St. Catherine Street. He could have added, and back, or at least until the posse arrived. And this, listen, this goes on and on and on. Like, it's a very, very lengthy article. And, you know, the last paragraph is, give it up, Joe, this morning, and go out there tonight and play the game of your career, unburdened by it all, for the good of the team, for your good, and for a fandom that expects and deserves the best from the best. But you know what? He did not have a good game. Like, you know, I don't know if the Boston Globe was looking for a response out of Thornton just for the entire city of Boston to propel them to a Game 7 win and series win. It had the absolute opposite effect.
Well, as if he would do that. But anyways, I mean, obviously it was an angry reporter, and you know, maybe the timing was not perfect. You can say that after, but the morning of Game 7, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was not appreciated by many, by the way. Okay, in ending, and I won't keep you much longer, you mentioned the word reporter. Is Marty St. Louis more giving with his answers to certain reporters over others? This is what I'm getting to. Did you see this?
No.
Let's show this tweet. This is Saturday night following the Canadiens 3-0 loss to the Carolina Hurricanes. My friend, Yannick Bouchard, les réponses de Martin Saint-Louis en anglais sont plus généreuses qu'en français. Je me trompe? He's not, you know, he's saying this is the way it looks. Am I wrong?
No. It's I think it's just that his hockey mind is thinking in English. So I think it's still, more than 1 year after, still easier for him to speak hockey in English. It's not a language thing. It's not this French reporter or this English reporter. I really think it's just the fact that he's more à l'aise to speak hockey in English. That's it. I mean, he might not be wrong. I think it was more, you could see more that when he started, but now it's, you know, the gap is closing, but it doesn't have nothing to do with reporters, like a particular, I think it's just a language thing. And that's it.
Hey, when I text you this morning, can you do Monday instead of Wednesday? Right away, you said yes. Wow, fantastic. You're the best. Merci beaucoup. Have a great night. Hey, season's almost over, my friend.
See you next time. Yeah.
That doesn't make me happy, by the way. It doesn't make me happy. But you know,
playoff hockey is the best.
It is what it is, you know. It's a rebuild.
Yeah. Playoff hockey is the best. First round is the best. So we'll have fun in 2 weeks.
Cheers. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. See everyone.
I grabbed the phone because I was actually just taking a look at the schedule. There you go. So the Canadiens host the Red Wings tomorrow. They host the Washington Capitals on Thursday. On Saturday, they're going to be in Toronto versus the Leafs. It's the last Saturday night game of the season. I almost feel like I just got to do something different for this Saturday night game. I called Agnello and I said, Agnello, we do something different on this Saturday night game. We do something. And he said, what do you want me to do? He told me it's his birthday this weekend. So if you don't have to wish Agnello a happy birthday now, because it's going to be his birthday, I believe, on Saturday. But if you would want to wish him a happy birthday now, just wish him a happy birthday now. But anyway, it looks like he's not going to be doing anything with me anyway. I'm going to have to be doing it without him. And he said, so anyway, so that's that. So it's Agnello's birthday on Saturday. So if I'm going to do anything for this Canadiens and Leafs games in Toronto, I'm going to have to do something by myself. And then next week, they got 2 games. They're going to be in New York versus the Islanders on Wednesday, and they're going to host the Boston Bruins on Thursday. So there you have it. And then there were 5. I've said this a million times, and I'm going to say it again. It's, by the way, it's Agnello, Agnello, Aniello. And if you're wondering why his name is Agnello, which is not some people have that. It's not the most common name, right? It's because he was born Easter weekend. And Agnello is an Italian word for lamb. So, Lamb of God, there you have it. Hence, Agnello. So, happy birthday to Agnello. I'm wishing you a happy birthday now, even though your birthday is on Saturday. This way, I'm like the first one to wish you a happy birthday. And if I forget, there you have it. Where's my water? Well, my water's here. Okay. My water's here. And today, I didn't drink as much as I should drink, to be totally honest with you. Mind you, this is not the only bottle that I drink from. I drank from another bottle as well. I would say that today I probably had 2 liters. And which, I try to have 4, and I try and drink it maximum ending when the show ends. But tonight I didn't want to drink a lot during the show, because if I was going to have to take a break to go to the men's room again. But I will take a sip right now. Distilled water with 2 lemons peeled, and at the bottom of this bottle, and a teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt, which is what I was told to put in there by an expert. I can begin to explain it to you if you want, but I won't be very good at it. I know I'm going to make some mistakes, but it goes something like this. Our soil has been damaged in the last 100 years, and we're not nearly getting as many minerals out of our food or out of our soil that we used to. So pink Himalayan salt supposedly has some of these minerals, and you'll get about 90 minerals in pink Himalayan salt. I hope what I just told you kind of makes sense, because that's what was explained to me. And that's it. That's why I'm having that. Why is it distilled water instead of regular water? I've been told that it's just cleaner. That's what I was told by the person who is consulting me. And I think there's no fluoride. Yeah, anyway, so I'm going on the advice of someone who, when, in next little while here, I'll introduce the person that has been guiding me so far 1 week in. And there's been a lot of support. As a matter of fact, they have Zoom calls, I think 2 to 3 times per week for support. He checks in, he sends me a text message. It's you know what? It's like I'm being coached, right? It's like I have a coach next to me all the time, and it's pretty cool. Okay. It's pretty cool. It was difficult when I went to breakfast earlier this morning. We had a business breakfast with Agnello and a couple of other colleagues, and they were eating in front of me, and I was having water and more water and more water, because the program I'm on, you skip breakfast and you have lunch at like 12 or 12:30 or 1, and then you have supper at 6 or 6:30 or 7. 2 meals, 6 hours apart, and then so you 6 hours on, 8 hours off, no snacks in between. That's what I'm doing. I'll go into more detail at one point, and hopefully I can. Says Bubba, Tony, how much weight have you lost this past week? 15.8 pounds in 1 week. All right. Some are saying it's too fast. What do you want me to do? You want my body to something you need to know about me? I can lose weight very fast, but very unfortunately, I can put on weight even faster. All right. So that's the bad part. Okay. So anyway, We'll get to that. There's so much to talk about. I juiced and lost 70 pounds in 3 months, which is, you know what? It's awesome, but you're not going to be able to juice for the rest of your life. That's the challenge, right? All right, okay. And Yellow, bring up, and Sammy, bring up, why don't you actually, guys, come up on the screen? We got 3 or 4 minutes left in showtime here.
What's
I'm
happening?
actually missing, the final of March Madness because of this. Can you give me a score? How's UConn doing?
It's a blowout, 47-35 for UConn.
They're winning by 8, and you're telling me it's a blowout?
12.
Oh, 47-35. Pardon me, 47-35 by 12. Yeah. No. Yeah. I think they were 7.5 point favorites, right? They were expected to do this.
Well, San Diego wasn't supposed to be there, so.
Yeah. Anyway, so the family's in the other room, and they're actually watching the game. All right. Yep. My God, Bob Milash's comment. I'm speechless. I don't think I should. We're
gonna block him.
Yeah. You're gonna have to block him. Yeah. He just said a joke that could be offensive to those who are reading. But then again, I mean,
pretty stupid joke.
Yeah. Well, listen. Sometimes in life you have to try jokes, and they don't always go over very well. Sometimes they work. Sometimes they don't. I mean, it happens to me too. Sometimes I say a joke, people laugh. Sometimes I say a joke, people don't laugh. Sometimes I say a joke, people take it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I said something on Twitter earlier tonight, which was meant as something that I thought was funny. And,
well, they mentioned it. Somebody mentioned it in the chat, a couple of people.
Yeah. Maybe, some didn't take it as a joke, but listen, I think if you know me, I think
if people know you, they should. Yeah, exactly. They should expect that. If they don't know, it's a different story.
That's what I think. But anyway, listen. What can you do? What can you do? I'm not gonna. It is what it is. All right, now everyone's in the chat. Now they all got their opinions on intermittent fasting and this and that and whatever and all that.
You turned it into a diet podcast. You see,
everyone, folks. Everyone. There's no one way to lose weight. There's one way to gain weight. Okay. You just eat all the wrong things, you're going to gain weight. And if you eat a lot of it, you're going to gain weight. There's no one way to lose weight. There's different methods. About 10 years ago, I lost 40 pounds in 3 months. And the way I did it was I think I ate 5 to 6 meals a day. Like I was eating every 2 hours, but I was eating small and clean. Okay, small and clean. My wife has lost, I think, 72 pounds since May. She's done it with her 3 meals and 2 snacks. She cut out the carbs for the first 6 or 7 months, and now she'll have carbs like once a week and have a cheat meal once a week. I know in Yellow, this morning he went for breakfast. He ordered a plate of 2 eggs. He took his phone. He opened his app. He's got a certain app. I don't remember which one it is. It doesn't matter. We don't have to give them publicity. He opened the app. He put it right over the eggs. Boom. It told them it's 180 calories. Yes. You entered your weight. You entered your desired weight and by which date you want to get to that weight. And it tells you that you have to eat about 1,600 calories a day. So everything he wants to eat, he opens the app. He basically puts it over his food. It tells him how many calories, and then he knows how many calories he has left for the day. The one that I'm doing is different. I'm eating clean. Justin wants to know if I'm doing phone calls. Now, in Yellow, I'm not taking phone calls tonight, or that wasn't the plan anyway. And by the way, a shout out to matrixhomefitness.ca because now it's really starting to come in handy. You bring it home, you discover a club quality workout in the comfort of your own home. Visit matrixhomefitness.ca, and Yellow's got the elliptical, and I have the rower, and I have the treadmill. And we both said to ourselves that we were going to get the bike sometime soon. My buddy Enzo sent me a text message yesterday showing me a picture. There's in the fitness room, there's a Matrix spinning cycle. And he goes, Tony, he was on it for 2 hours.
Yeah, a lot of people love that stuff.
He was on it for 2 hours and 7 minutes. And I said, 2 hours and 7 minutes. I can't personally. I like bikes too, but the spinning cycles I find is very uncomfortable for me. When I sit on it, hurts my bum. And he said, yeah, of course, it hurts everyone's bum, but then you get used to it. My God, I think I'm going to get censored for just that snippet of like 4 or 5 seconds. But anyway, so he said, no, I can't get off until I lose 500 calories. And he lost 500 calories after 2 hours and 7 minutes. So he stayed. That's a long time to stay on a bike, boy. Let me tell you.
Time to stay on a bike.
Yeah. So,
okay.
If this was an adult show, I'd say another joke, but I won't because it's not an adult show. But it is 11 o'clock at this point. So we're not taking any calls right now. Like if somebody would want to talk to me, we're not taking the call, or what are we doing here?
Whatever you want to do.
No, but I mean, somebody said, is he taking calls? Look, folks,
no,
we're
not set up right now to take calls. No.
Okay. But if someone called in, it'll ring?
Well, yeah, we have it on Do Not Disturb now. We'll have to take it off.
Mozitumo.
Well, yeah, because the phone rings all night, so we have to take it off.
Okay. What
happens with which is funny.
Yeah.
People will watch the podcast tomorrow morning and they still think you're live. So they're calling you when the podcast is on at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock.
Oh, wow. I never thought of that, Agnello. Really,
yeah.
eh?
Yeah. So we have like 150. When I come back, we have 150, 200 calls missed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. Okay. So anyway, usually what we do is we usually take calls after the game. So, right, I know that tomorrow we're set up to take calls. We could have taken calls even now, but I didn't know that, by the way. So, which is pretty cool. All right. Okay. So, we could, whoever wants to call tonight, like Justin was sending out an SOS for 66 spinning, which is Stéphane in Quebec City to call. But, we can take the call tomorrow night. This way, I can watch the rest of March Madness, even though UConn is running away, right?
Yeah, I agree. Tomorrow
night
game, we'll take the calls.
Special thank you to all of you for your continued support. Thank you very much. We love you all. And I've told you that we're going to get together in the next little while here. And then Yellow and I have already discussed a date.
Don't say it.
No, I will not say it. I'm not saying the date, but I think it's the right date. And we're going to get together. And because I know like a lot of people here on this chat, there's, they haven't been able to put a face to a name. They're saying hi, and all that stuff. And so, and that's, so we're going to do so everyone could actually get together and have a good time and have a beverage. All right. So special thanks once again, everyone. They're Cavallaro. I'm Marinaro, the Sick Podcast. If you can, like it, share it, and message SICK, SICK, if you like what we're doing. We're having a blast. Talk to you again tomorrow. Same time, same place, 10 p.m. Eastern.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TB. Embrace your true nature.